Hi, my name is James Scott, and this is Board on the Bayou. In this episode, I'm going to review the game Prehistory by Attila Savaji. 2 to 4 players, ages 12 and up. Takes about 30 minutes per player. This is the game where you are playing prehistoric man. Food resources are running low. So the tribe is splitting up into individual smaller tribes, and you're going to expand and move out and try to be the new, more powerful tribe, trying to find new resources and new food. In this game, it is a hodgepodge, Frankenstein, throw everything in the blender, mix it up, and make it into a game. Does it work? I think so. This is probably one of my top 10 favorite games. This is definitely probably a hidden gem. I haven't seen a whole lot about it. It is definitely, if you played a lot of board games and you know a lot of the different mechanics, you'll recognize them in this game. And some of them are a lot more simplified so that they can have them in this game. In this game, you're going to be playing over 5 years. And each year is broken down into the 4 different seasons. Springtime, you're playing your cubes on your board. You'll have these little circles. I love this little idea he had with this. It's a wheel that goes here that rotates, and everybody's board is slightly different. You have your resource cubes up here, and you use the resource cubes to take different actions on the main board. During summertime, the cubes, which are the same cubes, and this is one of my pet peeves of the game, the same cubes are put down here, or not these, but you'll get cubes that'll be put down here, which will be action cubes. And that's my little gripe of the game is hard. It gets kind of a little confusing, as you'll see the cubes on the board, and the only time you can really tell what they are is when they're on this little board. Is if they're up here, the resources, are down here, they're actions. Once you get over that little hurdle, a lot of it goes better. Only thing I could think of maybe is, maybe solid and clear cubes, or there's different ways you maybe could do it. After the summertime, you do the actions, and everybody's going to get a turn doing everything, or an opportunity if they have the cubes. Then in fall, you go to a different board, which is made up of a bunch of these little things, and you'll create this map randomly generated with different resources, and your tribes are going to go out and expand. You're going to put out more guys. You're going to try to control different areas and get more resources and collect more of your set pieces. So you may not be able to collect all your set pieces in the village. You may have to collect some of them out in the wild. The components of the game are really good, about what you can expect in most games nowadays. The board is a modular board. It's made up of 4 of these pieces of the main board, and it's decent cardboard stock. For some reason, if you want, you got a brown and white photo on the back, or painting. Artwork is top notch, really good artwork, beautiful artwork with a blowdown on the city. The card stock is your average card stock, again with pretty good art. You got your meeples and your cubes, so they're pretty standard. So all in all, average to above average quality. Artwork, definitely above average. Rule book, well written, a rule book. The only thing I would probably say I would like to is on the board, on every little area, they don't really tell you, like during summer this, on fall this. You have one little player aid, which you follow along, and it takes you a little bit to learn that little symbols. But I would have liked to have seen maybe up here show that summertime, one cube per symbol. And when we go down to the table, I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. So why don't we do that? Let's go down to the table and we'll have a look at how this game plays, and I'll come back to my final thoughts. All right, Prehistory. This game would be played over 5 years. Each year is broken down into 4 seasons. You'll start in the spring phase using resources to do actions in this area. Then in summer, you go in reverse order using action cubes to come do actions in this area. Then in fall, you'll be over here moving around the different world. Each player will get a player board, and on the player board with a little wheel, on this wheel at the beginning of the season, it'll rotate and you'll gather the resources that indicates. Also on your board is this little section down here, and this word can get confusing. I know it sounds simple, but it gets confusing at times. These are your action cubes. So when your cubes are here, they're actions. When they're here, they're resources. You cannot slide these over here to get resources or slide them over here to get actions. When you gather the resources, they will show you, such as here around how it has this little starburst around it. It may be kind of hard to see. Those signify that it's an action cube. So if you got that action cube, you would put the action cube down here. The ones that do not have the starburst, such as this one, those are resources. So if you got that resource, it would actually go here. This area is for collecting cave paintings, which we'll explain in a little bit. And this section is for your set collection, which I'll get to after a little bit. Actually, the game is actually pretty simple. There's a lot, like I said, the only thing I love but hate about the game, it's a lot of different things from a lot of different games. So if you're new to it, there's going to be a lot of alien concepts. But if you played a bunch of different games, you're going to go, oh, that's set gathering. Oh, that's resource management. There's just so many different. But surprisingly, I really enjoy the way these work together. So during spring, you're going to use your resource cubes. At the bottom of these little Stonehenge here, you got these 2 little legs. When you use these legs, you can do the various different actions. So I want to do cave painting. So I put my little cube here, and now I can do the cave painting action. If I put my cube here, I can do the gathering action. I can use my shamans, fishing, hunting, and a bunch of different ones. What these actions are, when you put the cube there, for the cave paintings, if you notice, they have these little boards, and this one has 2 symbols. So you look over here, and it has a handprint and the horse. So I would have to put a resource here, and then I would have to pay to the bank a blue and a red in order to have this, and I would add it to my board. Over here, same thing. I put any cube. When you put them here, they can be any color. And you put the cube here. Now I'm going to be doing a gather action. The gather action, or if the one I want, I'd have to pay a red cube to grab this one, and that would go on my board. And it works the way around. Actions over here, these are used to buy these cards. These cards give victory points, bonuses, and these little development points. These little horns are development points. Anytime you do this action, you take your other cube or marker and put it here. Now you'll go first next year. These are different basic set collections. You gather these rhinos, or this one here is worth 1 point. it costs 2 here. So you'd have to move 2 of your shamans. In order to move your shaman, you'd have to look where you don't have a shaman. So on purple, if I wanted to move my shaman here and here, there are 2 empty spaces. I'd have to pay a yellow and a gray. And then I'd move 2 of my shamans. And they dance around the fire, and I go first, and I can grab up to a 2-point card. Over here in the fishing area, you would pay however much you want, for whatever size fish you want that's available. So if I want 1 fish, I only have to pay 1 of these cubes. The 3 fish is a harder one to get, obviously, because you have to pay a gray, a white, and a blue. They all have to be different. A 2 could be any combination as long as they're different. Hunting, as you see this little line here, above here, this is the hunting row. Same basic concept. You have to pay, these are the 3 different resources they need for hunting. They all have to be different if you want 1, 2, or 3. Up here this is for your guys. You'll start with a couple of your guys. Here, let me just lay them down on my board, just make it easier. But actually, you'll have your guys. Your guys, this is where you'll pay resources. So you pay a blue and a red, you get to put 2 guys out. If you pay just a yellow, you can put 1, a gray, just 1. If you pay a white and a brown, you can put 3 guys out. And they all have to go out on where you have a camp or the starting camp. I forgot to mention, when you buy, let's say you buy this fish, so if it would be a 3 fish, I'd move up 3. Right now, that would just give me 1 victory point. So I'd move my little cube on the victory point and put the victory point one out. This happens every summer. The lowest one. So if you happen to be up here, you would get 2 victory points and 1 development point. You wouldn't get this extra one over here. It's the highest of each of the resources. This is definitely one of the ones you want to get early on because it's going to fill in. At the end of the 4th year, the payback is not as much because you're only going to get it 1 time. Now, after everybody's taken the spring action, done all their spring actions, and you keep going around until everybody has either used up all the resources or passed, now you'll go into summer. In summer, it goes in reverse player order. Well, first thing you're going to do is you're going to grab all these resources that say were paid to do these actions. You do the 2. Say the actions were like this. Beginning of summer, you're going to take all these cubes and you're going to shove them up on top here. Now, reverse turn order, each player gets to grab one of these piles. So I grab this pile. And now these aren't resources. These will go in your action cube section. And then the next player grabs, let's say he grabs these, and they grab these. The rest of them remain here. So the following year, these will actually build up a little bit more. We'll draw some out of the bag to fill these slots, but the rest will gain from when people take those actions. Now, during the action phase, it goes a little bit different. This phase, everybody gets a turn at each action area. So you go to this action area, and this is the part I wish they would put. Probably my one complaint about the board, as nice looking as it is, I would have liked to have seen some type of little icons here to let you know instead of having to have this little board. But in order to pay for here, each person can pay in action cubes. They can pay gray cubes. As you can see, it's the gray section. So however much they want, however many symbols on that card they want, they can pay in gray action cubes. So if you want this one, just 1 gray action cube, and you'd get the little hand guy. On the red, you pay two red action cubes. On the fire is 1 to 3 On the fishing is 1 to 3, and it's all blue. It's all the colors. So 1 to 3 on the yellow, 1 to 3 blue on here, and 1 to 3 brown on here, and 1 to 3 white on here. So these are where the action cubes can get kind of valuable if you have them all the right color. The first year or two is going to be kind of light on it. Now, still in the first turn, now we go to the fall. Now in the fall, we use this, but we actually still kind of use this board a little bit. And what you're going to do is you're going to pay cubes from either your action or your resources to move. And how far can you move your guys? Well, that depends on what the resource is here. So right now, with this wheel sitting here, white cube, you'll get 3 movement on. So I may pay 2 white cubes to give me 6 movement. And I could split them up, and I can move these around the board to doing various things. And what you're going to be doing on this board is trying to set up more tents to expand your tribe, gathering fish, gathering more resources, so there's more of these are actually in the world if you're trying to do the set collection. Same thing with the animals. And then there's these little symbols here, which you have, can either gain victory points for getting them, or at the end of the game if you have your guys kind of placed around it. One of the key things on this one is building these tent areas. So as you see, like say right here, I got my guy here, and I want to do a build a tent action. Well, on your tents, you have various different types of tents you can build. And you would have to look at it, and you have, see, these may look the same, but one of them, if you place it down, your guy stays. Now, when you get it, you get your victory points, and you get another meeple onto your board. So you get another tribesman for your, it goes on your board, so you can later on have him go out. If it was the gray symbol, your guy actually comes back to the main village. So you end up having to put him back out. So obviously you kind of want the ones with the little black symbol on it. Now there's some of these will have, say this one here, will have 2 black and a gray. What would be required is you'd have to have 3 people adjacent to that location. And also too, when you move them, they recommend you lay them down to recognize that you've made an action. So in this case, I'd be able to put this number 3 here because we have 3 guys here. But problem is one of them gets picked back up. And then the other 2 would just stand up. Then you go to winter, and then winter is basically a cleanup phase. You put more resources down. You recycle all this stuff. And then we go into the next year. And you start by the actions. You figure out who goes first. That's why you leave the cube on the red. And you would go back in regular order, reverse order, and then back in regular order. So it flip-flops back and forth, using cubes as resources, uses those cubes as action cubes, then using the cubes as either or. That's probably the only part that takes a little bit of a learning curve to get. The components of the game, as you can see, are really nice. The cubes are, standard little wooden cubes. These are just same thing. They do give little stickers for these. Oh, I forgot to mention the development points, which are very important. These development points you can use to convert. If you use 3 development points, you can convert
to an action. You can use 2 to get a, I'm sorry, to get a action cube. You can use 2 to get a resource. You can convert, use the development points to convert action cubes to resources and back, but you got to spend these development points along this track here. You could also use a point to spin these. When these all start out, it's probably hard to tell. Let's see, this one might be easier to tell. It has this little symbol around it. That means it's always facing north, or the top of the board. After you start, you can spend development points, and you can actually rotate this. However, which way you want to rotate it, spin it all the way around. If you got enough points, spin that sucker around. So that's another way you could sit there and go, well, I really want this honeycomb, but I don't have gray. I do have some white. I'll spend a development point. I'll spin this like this. And now I'll take this action. I'll spend the 1 white cube to go to the bank, and I'll gather this. The other thing on this board is, if you look at these will go on certain sections of the board. If you complete a set, like you see here, there's a honey and potato, you'll take them, you'll flip them over, and you'll get this one-time bonus for them of getting a gray action or brown action cube. Now, if you got another set, just say let's say these were over here. Let's say these are you put another one on there. Well, when you do another set, same thing. You flip those 2 over, and now you've completed another set, and now you get the bonus again. So you kind of keep wanting to gather the points. Over here, what you're trying to do is you're trying to do almost like a little tic-tac-toe to get action cubes or development points. If you put it, such as this one, when you put that one here, now this one is next to this one. You go along the row, I get 2 development points. So I move up 2 development points. Let's say for a reason it was here, and then I'd complete it and get here. What's kind of nice is if you'd have that and come in and put the tile that would go here. This is the wrong one. But you would get this one and this one because you completed it. And for some reason, if you did the big combo, and had one here and here, you get it, you'd have 2 of each. Really fun game. Really not that hard once you get the handle of the basics. It's just there's so much analysis paralysis that can possibly happen. You have to watch out for. But other than that, this is a game I really enjoy playing. I wish it would hit the table a lot more. But I think it's one of those games that when you look at it is so intimidating. The setup is a bit long. Once everybody's learned how to do it, it's actually not that bad. These little tiles here that show you, this is the world is made up of these little sections, so it's a little modular. You just randomly grab however much. They'll tell you how many per player, and you can make your map whatever design you want. As you can see in this video, I don't have that much table room for this, so it's kind of a squanchy little area. Whereas if you had a bigger table, you run it out, and that's probably another negative, I guess you would say, on it. It does have a bigger table, but once it's set out, it is a really beautiful game. The artwork's really nice. The card stocks are what you would expect. The meeples are your general meeples. Your cardboards are pretty good. The board doesn't fold up. The board is actually modular. You can, whether or not you like that type of thing, I think in this case it actually works out pretty good. Makes everything folds in the box with plenty of room for extra stuff. I really hope they do come out with extra stuff on this game. So we'll go back up top for my final thoughts. Thank you.
All right, well, that's how the game is basically played. Final thoughts on the game? Really good game. Probably needs some refinement from what I've seen and we played, and I've read on some of the forums. Is probably the name of the game to win is set collecting on the Gathering. I've heard that there are other strategies can win, but I do find that I would almost house rule a couple things in this game. I find that when you put the resources down in the world map, I think they should be flipped over so that they're facing down, so you don't know what they are. So when you spread out, everybody's exploring and finding them. I find that adds to the game of that little exploration. The other thing I would probably think might be house ruled is probably with some more play testing is the gathering points you get for the sets of the Gathering. Because if you get those, it's if you get enough of them, it's almost a guaranteed win. We had one person that was way behind, and the only thing they did is just collect those and just blew past us on points. But other than that, really good game. I think he did a good job of taking a lot of different elements, putting them all together. I really like to see what else he has in store for this game, if he has some expansions planned or what he plans on doing in the future. But this guy, this designer, he is definitely the Frankenstein of board games and did a great job. So this is James Scott with Board on the Bayou. To remember to comment, like, and subscribe below. Thank you.